In this video, we're going to show you how to measure and install a REACO brand truck tarp. First thing you'll want to do is make sure the tarp's going to fit. The tarps come standard 4 foot 5 inches wide. So what you'll want to do is measure the inside opening of the bed and make sure it is less than 4 foot 5 inches. Most beds are 48.5 inches, as this one is. Next thing you'll want to do is measure in between box lids. Between the box lids, you're going to want it greater than 4 foot 5. If it's less than 4 foot 5, you are going to have to cut down the tarp and the crossbars, which is okay. Now you have to determine what length you need. To determine the length, you're going to take the length of the bed, hooked up on the front bed rail, all the way to the back, plus the drop down for the tailgate. Now some beds have a drop down on the front bed rail. You will have to take that into consideration if you have the front drop down. You will need to add that to the overall length. As you can see, this particular bed is going to require a 9'6" tarp. REACO tarps come 9'6", 10 foot, 10'6", and 11. When you receive the tarp, it'll come in a box like this. Let's open it up and familiarize yourself with the parts. First, we're going to have the tarp. I will untape this. This here is the awning track. This will be the starting edge of the tarp. We'll screw this down to the front bed rail. The aluminum slats will go underneath the tarp, as you'll see later. The 1-inch square tube will sit on top of the tarp and be our cross struts. You'll have a hardware bag. Inside the hardware bag will be instructions. You're going to have rubber rope for the rear tie downs. You're going to have rubber rope hooks. I'll go over how to attach those later. You're going to have tie down straps for the front of the tarp. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then you're going to have plugs for the ends of the square tube. Let's get started on building the tarp. Alright, now we're going to want to get started mounting the track to the front bed rail. Now, most beds are not going to have the rack sitting on the inside like this. This is an older bed. Most racks sit on the outside. It makes for a much easier installation. I use this truck here to demonstrate because it basically has all the problems you're going to face in one truck. So, typically, the track will mount on the bed rail like this. Because of this crossbar here, I'm going to have to adapt. On this one, I'm going to mount the track on the crossbar like this. Now when I'm mounting this track, the tarp tie down straps, what I want to do is I want to put that behind the track with the sewn clip facing up about 12 inches into the track. And when I mount it, I will sandwich the strap between the mounting area and the track, like so. Now, on the beds that have a front drop down, you are going to have to notch the track. If you can see this here, you're going to notch it basically like this. What you're going to do is it's going to mount down on the front bed rail like this, and the rope extrusion is going to extend past into the truck box on the side. Make more sense when you're doing it on your own truck. I'm going to go ahead and mount this track, and we'll get right back to it. Alright, now that I have the tracks installed, and you can see how I mounted the straps, we're going to measure for the crossbars and any other modifications we have to make. On this particular truck, because of the inside rack, I'm going to have to make notches in the cover, the front and at the back of the bed. My front crossbar is going to be mounted right behind this gusset. Most beds, the front crossbar will be mounted a couple feet in. On the beds that have a front drop down, that crossbar will be mounted as far forward on the bed to create a front corner. So I'm going to go get some measurements and we'll keep going. As you can see, at the rear of the bed, we have the same problem as the front. So my rear crossbar is going to stop just in front of this gusset, and then I'm going to cut the fabric out around the crossbar. When you do your layout for the tarp, you're going to want to do it on the underneath side of the tarp. Here you could see the cutouts I have done for the front of the rack and the rear of the rack. After you get your cutouts done, if needed, you're going to start laying out for your crossbars. And you can see how I marked. You have 5 crossbars, balance them out equally. You're going to want to put a mark on each one of the crossbars 2 3/4 inch in. That's going to be your start-stop for your aluminum slats. So to get started here, you're going to grab one of your square tubes, slide it underneath the tarp, line it up with your marks, flush with the edge of the tarp, grab an aluminum slat, set it on top at your 2 3/4 mark. Through the tarp you could feel that the square tube and the aluminum are lined up. The square tube flush with the edge, the aluminum lined up at the 2 3/4 mark. Go ahead and set your first screw. Continue this on all the crossbars. What I like to do is to set the start screws all on one side, then go to the other side and set all the screws on that side. So we're done mounting all of our crossbars and aluminum strips. We're ready to install the truck tarp. Instead of using the screws, another option is to pop rivet the aluminum strips on. They will definitely last longer. The screws you will have to tighten up every once in a while. Alright, here we have the tarp back on the truck. Now because of the way the front rack was, I actually had to remove the front track to slide the tarp on, then reattach the track. After we pulled the tarp out and back, what I noticed on this truck, I only measured the one side. The bars fit on this side. The other side, I actually had to adjust by 1/4 inch because the rack was just a little bit farther forward. So you're probably better off to measure both sides and make sure the rack was built square. This is how I finished the rear detail around the rack. As you can see, I notched the cover, ran it on the angle, and then I ran it back down on the diagonal to the grommet. All right, now I'll show you how to attach the rubber rope to the back of the truck. So what you want to do is thread it through the rubber rope hook like this, through the other hole, and back through like this. Tighten that up. You see that? Go and thread the rubber rope from the outside to the inside through the corner grommet. Hook the rope on the diagonal to your bumper or other good location. Put some tension on the rubber rope. Hold it. Remove it from the bumper. Mark that spot. Tie a knot in the rope. Pull it back through. Check your tension. Once you like where you have it, go ahead and cut off the excess. Do the same on the other side. The corner ones I like to pull on the angle. The two center ones, mount them wherever you like. And there you have it. That is a finished REACO brand truck tarp. And here's the REACO brand truck tarp rolled up. I hope this video helped. If there's anything else we could do, please give us a call.